Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with the second lesson of Beehive, the sound of music. This lesson consists of two parts. First part is Evelyn Glennie listens to sound without hearing it. Now, the title of the story itself is very interesting. Here, the author says Evelyn Glennie listens to sound without hearing it. Now, we all wonder, we are confused, how can one listen to sound when one cannot hear? So, this is something we will discover that how Evelyn Glennie was able to listen to sound although she could not hear. Evelyn Glennie was a famous popular Scottish percussionist. She plays many musical instruments like xylophone, drums, etc. She has attained mastery over almost 1,000 musical instruments. Despite being hearing impaired, she learned to feel music through her body parts instead of hearing it through her ears. So before we start this lesson, let us read a few lines by James Blades. God may have taken her hearing, but He has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear, she feels far more deeply than any of us. That is why she expresses music so beautifully. Although God took away her hearing power, but He has given her something very special, that is power of feeling. What we hear, she feels through her various body parts and expresses music so beautifully, so well. It is a motivational story which inspires all of us to overcome our physical disabilities and achieve our dreams and goals just as Evelyn did. So, let us start our lesson. Rush hours crowds jostle for position on underground train platform. A slight girl looking younger than her 17 years was nervous yet excited as she felt the vibrations of the approaching train. It was her first day at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London and daunting enough for any teenager fresh from a Scottish farm. But this aspiring musician faced a bigger challenge than most. She was profoundly deaf. Jostle means push roughly, and slight is small and thin. Daunting means frightening. Aspiring musician, a person who wants to be a musician. Rush hours crowds jostle for positions on the underground train platform. It is a scene of railway platform and there was a great rush. People are just pushing each other and it was a underground train platform. A slight girl means a small and thin girl looking younger than her 17 years was nervous and excited as she felt the vibrations of approaching train. As the train is coming, she is feeling the vibrations of approaching train. It was her first day at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London and daunting enough for any teenager fresh from a Scottish farm. Daunting means frightening. And why she was so much nervous? Because it was her first day at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London. She is going to join Royal Academy of Music in London and she is a Scottish girl, means she belongs to Scotland. Now London is an urban area. It is quite big, whereas Scottish area, that is Scotland, is just a countryside. But this aspiring musician faced a bigger challenge than most. She was profoundly deaf. The one challenge that she was facing was that she belongs to a much smaller place and she is going to London, and the other bigger challenge was she was deaf. She could not hear anything. Evelyn Glennie's loss of hearing had been gradual. Gradual means in steps. Her mother remembers noticing something was wrong when the 8-year-old Evelyn was waiting to play the piano. They called her name and she didn't move. I suddenly realized she hadn't heard, says Isabel Glennie. Isabel Glennie was Evelyn's mother, and she recalls one incident when she was waiting to play the piano and the organizers called her name again and again, but she didn't move because she could not listen. Then the mother remembers that she couldn't listen properly. For quite a while, Evelyn managed to conceal her growing deafness from her friends and teachers, but by the time she was 11, her marks had deteriorated and her headmistress urged her parents to take her to a specialist. It was then discovered that her hearing was severely impaired as a result of gradual nerve damage, and they were advised that she should be fitted with hearing aids and sent to a school for the deaf. Everything suddenly looked black, says Evelyn. So, she was able to conceal means hide her growing deafness from her friends and teachers for some time, but when she was 11 years old, her marks had deteriorated. Deteriorated means decreased. There was a decrease in her performance, and because she could not listen anything, so her headmistress urged means requested her parents to take her to a specialist, to take her to a doctor. And it was then discovered that her hearing was severely impaired as a result of gradual nerve damage. So she could not listen, she could not hear because of nerve damage. And they were advised that she should be fitted with hearing aids so that she can hear something, she can listen something, and sent to a school for the deaf. And they also advised to send her to a special school where all deaf children study. Everything suddenly looked black, says Evelyn. She was very much in despair. She was very much sad that everything has finished for her. But Evelyn was not going to give up. She was determined to lead a normal life and pursue her interest in music. One day she noticed a girl playing a xylophone and decided that she wanted to play it too. Most of the teachers discouraged her, but percussionist Ron Forbes spotted her potential, and he began by tuning 2 large drums to different notes. But Evelyn, she was very courageous girl, she was well-determined girl, and she decided not to give up. She was determined to lead a normal life like other normal children and pursue means follow her interest in music. And one day when she noticed a girl playing a xylophone, she decided to play it too. But most of her teachers discouraged her because she could not listen, she could not hear. But Ron Forbes spotted her potential. Potential means ability, her quality. So he encouraged her. He began by tuning 2 large drums to different notes. Large drums means large musical instruments of different notes, and he started playing them. But he advised her, don't listen through your ears, he would say. Try to sense it some other ways. Says Evelyn, suddenly I realized I could feel the higher drum from the waist up and the lower one from the waist down. Forbes repeated the exercise, and soon Evelyn discovered that she could sense certain notes in different parts of her body. I had learned to open my mind and body to sounds and vibrations. The rest was sheer determination and hard work. So what happened? Her teacher, Ron Forbes, he took 2 drums of different notes, and he advised her to listen, not to listen through her ears, but from some other body parts. And suddenly Evelyn realized that she could feel the higher drum from the upper part of the body and lower note from the lower part of her body. So Forbes, he repeated the exercise many times, and Evelyn realized that she could sense, she could feel certain notes of music through different parts of her body. I had learned to open my mind and body to sound and vibration. Soon learned to learned to feel certain vibrations, certain sound through different parts of the body, and rest was sheer determination and hard work. Means through her determination, through her hard work, she had achieved this difficult goal, this difficult aim of her life. She never looked back from the point onward. She toured the United Kingdom with a youth orchestra, and by the time she was 16, she had decided to make music her life. She auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music and scored one of the highest marks in the history of the Academy. She gradually moved from orchestral work to solo performances, and at the end of her 3 years course, she had captured most of the top awards. Means from that point, she never looked back. She started going ahead and ahead, and once she, with a group of youth orchestra, she visited United Kingdom, and when she was 16 years old, she decided to make music her life. She decided to go forward in this profession. She auditioned. Audition means sort of test. Gave a short performance for the Royal Academy of Music and scored highest marks in the academy. She gradually moved from orchestral work. Orchestral work means when she performs in a group to solo performances. From initially she performed in groups, and then she started doing solo performances, and by the end of her 3 years course, she achieved many top awards. And for all this, Evelyn won't accept any hint of heroic achievement. If you work hard and know where you are going, you will get there. And she got right to the top, the world's most sought after multi-percussionist with a mastery of some 1,000 instruments and hectic international schedule. And she was down to earth. If anyone says that Evelyn has done something great, she does not acknowledge. She was very humble. She was down to earth, and she just says, if you work hard and know where are you going, means if you are hard working and if you are clear about your aim, you are clear about your goal, you will definitely achieve it. And she got right to the top, and the world's most sought after multi-percussionist with a mastery of some 1,000 instruments and hectic international schedule. Means she, with her hard work and her strong determination, she reached at the top, and she could play at least 1,000 musical instruments, and she has got a very hectic international schedule. Means she has to perform. She has to perform everywhere, and she has become very popular. It is intriguing to watch Evelyn function so effortlessly without hearing. In our 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word. Men with bushy beards give me trouble. She laughed. It is not just watching the lips, it is the whole face, especially the eyes. She speaks flawlessly with a Scottish lilt. My speech is clear because I could hear till I was 11, she says, but that doesn't explain how she managed to learn French and master basic Japanese. So it is very fascinating to watch Evelyn function so effortlessly without hearing. Means although she could not listen, she could not hear, but she performs very good. In our 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word. So when when the interviewer was talking to her in 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word. She could understand each and every word spoken by the person, and she through lip reading. Men with bushy beard give me trouble. She laughed. She jokingly she said, the men who are having bushy beards, they give me trouble, because she could not see their lips, and she could not read their face. She says it is not only the lips, it is the whole face, especially the eyes. Means she reads the whole face of the speaker, especially the eyes, and she speaks flawlessly. Flawlessly means without any mistake, without any fault, in a Scottish accent, and her speech is clear because she could hear till she was 11 years. When she was 11 years old, then she lost her hearing power. But that doesn't explain how she managed to learn French and master basic Japanese, but it is a surprise that how she was able to learn French and Japanese language. She explains, it pours in through every part of my body. It tingles in skin, my cheekbones, and even in my hair. When she plays the xylophone, she can sense the sound passing up the sticks into her fingertips. By leaning against the drums, she can feel the resonances flowing into her body, and on a wooden platform, she removes her shoes so that the vibrations pass through her bare feet and her legs. As for music, she says, it pours in through every part of my body. Means she can listen it to through every part of her body. It tingles her skin, her cheekbones, even her hair. And when she plays the xylophone, she can feel the sound passing up the stick into her fingertips. And by leaning against the drums, she can feel the resonance flowing into her body. She feels the echoing sounds of the music through her body. And when she was performing on a wooden platform, she just removed her shoes so that the vibrations of the floor, they can pass through her bare feet and up to her legs, so that she can feel the music. She can feel these vibrations of the music. Not surprisingly, Evelyn delights her audience. In 1991, she was presented with the Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year award. Says master percussionist James Blades, God may have taken her hearing, but he has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear, she feels far more deeply than any of us. That is why she expresses music so beautifully. So, not surprisingly, Evelyn delights her audience. Audience means her, the people who come to listen her. To everyone delights, she gave a very good performance, solo performance, and in the year 1991, she was presented with a very prestigious award, that is Royal Philharmonic Society's award. And the famous percussionist James Blades once said, God may have taken her hearing, but he has given her back something extraordinary. Means although God has taken her hearing power, but he has given her something special, something extraordinary, that what we hear, she feels. She has got a very good feeling power, and far more deeply than any of us, that she can feel, she can realize through her various body parts, and can express music so beautifully and so well. Evelyn confesses that she is something of a workaholic. I have just got to work, often harder than classical musicians, but the rewards are enormous. Apart from the regular concerts, Evelyn also gives free concerts in prisons and hospitals, and she also gives high priority to classes for young musicians. Anne Richland of Beethoven Fund for Deaf Children says she is a shining inspiration for deaf children. They see that there is nowhere that they cannot go. Means she confesses, she agrees that she is something of a workaholic. Workaholic means a person who finds it difficult to stop working. Means she is very hard working. She never stops working, and she is never tired of hard work. I have just got to work, often harder than classical musician. Means she is more hard working than the classical musicians, and she agrees the rewards are enormous. Enormous means big. hues, and for that, for her hard work, for her determination, she gets big awards, she gets big rewards also. Apart from regular concerts, Evelyn also gives free concerts in prisons and hospital. Now she is a very kind-hearted person. She does charity also. She does social works also. She gives free concerts in hospitals and prisons to provide some relief to patients, to provide some relief to sufferers. She also gives high priority to classes for young musicians. For young musicians, she is having a very soft corner, and for these children, the children who want to learn music, she gives them priority. And Richlin of Beethoven Fund for Deaf Children says she is a shining inspiration for deaf children. For the deaf children, she is a source of inspiration. They see there is nowhere they cannot go. Means there is nothing that they cannot achieve. Everyone gets inspiration from her. Evelyn Glennie has already accomplished more than most people twice her age. She has brought percussion to the front of the orchestra and demonstrated that it can be very moving. She has given inspiration to those who are handicapped people, who look to her and say, if she can do it, I can. And not the least, she has given enormous pleasure to millions. Means Evelyn Glennie, she has achieved so much in her life that those people who are double her age have not achieved those many things, that much popularity and those many awards as Evelyn has done. She has brought percussion to the front of the orchestra. Orchestra is a group of people who are playing different musical instruments, and generally the percussion instruments like drums, xylophones, they are placed at the back end of the orchestra, or they are placed at the side. But as Evelyn performs solo, when she performs alone, she gives special performances with these instruments, with xylophones, with drums, etc. And she has given inspiration to those who are handicapped people, who look to her and say, and she is a great source of inspiration for handicapped people. They look at her and say, if she can do, we can also do. And not the least, she has given enormous pleasure to millions. She has provided, you can say, pleasure to lot of people, to many people. Thank you.